And we're going to open up questions, but since we have a special guest, I wanted to have him chime in. This is Stephen Tao. He is a television producer and also the president of CAPE, the Coalition of Asian Pacifics in Entertainment, also former head of drama at CBS, and wanted to see if he could chime in first.
Sure. So with my organization, CAPE, we are the promoters of diversity and advancing cross-cultural awareness, and we recently changed our mission statement to be not just for film and television, but for media in general. And I think what we're talking about is a little bit of a war between traditional media and digital media, and there's no reason why they can't both exist. And my goal personally and professionally is that we all can succeed both in the digital and traditional medias. So I'm looking at ways in which we can go beyond our networks here. Being a traditional broadcast executive from my past, I really want to have our influence go across cultures. I see it now more and more, and it's quite frankly, I'm seeing it now with the executives and the studios and the networks. They are looking at the Asian American community because, frankly, we have money. We have dollars, and that's what talks. The networks and studios all say we want diversity. They do when it hits their bottom line, and we actually have the power. We have the ability now online to show that we have the power to embrace a community and to actually cross over into other communities. I think the digital guys are really leading the way for the rest of the younger generation. And just as a small aside, I was having a meeting with the president of CBS the other day, and I had introduced her to Ryan Higa. She had never heard of him before. And I told her about his subscriber numbers. It was like 4.5 million people. I said, what would you do to get to those people? Think about it. These are the people who are not watching TV. They are the prime demographic in the advertising world. And she said, I would kill every single person on my staff in order to get a quarter of them. So the power is there, but we just have to harness it. And we also have to realize that we are not just this Asian community, but we're the larger community. So that's all I want to say.
Right. So I guess that means you're going to get Wong Fu onto Whitney next time, right?
No, I just want to reiterate what Steve said. Is that, you know, I work on a television show that gets 4 million viewers a week. 4 million viewers. And if you aggregate DVR, whatever, it's 6. You know, Steve's talking about one individual putting out videos that's getting 4.5 subscribers. You know, and by the way, my show is the second highest rated comedy on NBC, behind The Office. So that tells you how hard, how it's coming together, how it's really converging. Because it used to be that a hit show was 40 million viewers. 30, 20, it's now down to 6.
Do we have any questions? Yes, go ahead.
I just want to say, well, first, congratulations on the show.
Thank you.
But I think, the way you're describing the TV world, I guess, it somehow feels like there's these guidelines, and it's almost exactly what we're trying to show, that the guidelines aren't there, and that we can bridge that gap. I guess that's what we're trying to do with Wong Fu Productions. We're trying to tell stories that are relatable and can touch people on a deeper level, but are online. So I guess, it's like these two worlds talking, and I guess, where do you think the bridge exists? Because I think we fully believe that there is one.
I think as things start to converge more, as you know, I think you are doing those things online. You are telling those stories, but I think there's a, you know, the challenge is sort of marketing, quite frankly. I mean, you know, that's the big challenge. I mean, you guys are doing it one person at a time, one vote at a time, you know, whereas like on the broadcast networks, you have the ability to platform an audience of, you know, $50 million is spent on a campaign. I believe that's how much is spent on our campaign. You guys were probably sick of the posters if you're in LA or New York or San Francisco about that show. So it platforms it, and then it's got to be good, right, to sustain that, right? But I think that's there is a convergence happening. The challenges, though, still remain in terms of that, because I think it's about perception. I think you are trying to do stuff that's outside the box, but enough people have to kind of get in the box in a way for someone on the broadcast networks to go, oh, okay, We get that. It's what Steve was saying about the president of CBS. You know, she's looking at it from a math standpoint, but not a creative standpoint, because I think the creative stuff is merging more.
But how many subscribers do you have now?
Over 1 million.
Over 1 million? That's a big frickin' box, right? And in that sense, the only difference to me is that, well, you have these amazing channels to get money into Hollywood that you don't necessarily have to you, right? Whenever you do a deal, it's you're part. You know, first you're part of the like 1,000 channel block with YouTube, and then you have, because you're a partner, you get slightly better rates, and we'll get exclusives, and then you go off and you try to put together campaigns on your own, and so therefore you end up having to be this like 3-man band to get all this done.
Well, I mean, going back, I think our point is we've been fighting this whole time just to get noticed beyond as like a sideshow act on YouTube, and I feel like TV networks or that industry still regards us in that way, and we're really trying to like do more than that, and we want them to see the potential, and we're trying to prove it.
I wonder if that's your responsibility, though. I don't think it is, right? It's if you think back to the birth of, I tried putting a quote up earlier, but we're sitting in the way of it, on the Present Future Tumblr, where I talked about how there's this idea that we're basically behind in a way, that web video has this like inferiority complex. That's kind of holding us back, right? That we supposedly aren't as good. But if you actually look at the history of the transition from film to TV, and then just look at broadcast TV to cable, I mean, who was around for that during the 70s, that transition from broadcast to cable, right? There was this inferiority complex that, oh, you're just a cable channel? Oh, that's cute. Right? They didn't have anywhere near the regard that they have now, and that wasn't necessarily like, that wasn't something that the cable networks had to figure out themselves. It's something that the entire industry had to solve, right? It was not up to one. And many say that it was CNN coming in and being badass in '80, I think. I forgot what year. I was barely alive then. But whatever year it was, where they kind of changed the game. I feel like you guys are already changing the game, and whether the industry, and it's just a matter of the industry like kind of pulling in order to support you. That's kind of what has to happen next.
Cool, thanks. And also, sorry. Never mind. I'll talk to you later.
Oh, go ahead. Thought. What's your thought?
Yeah.
I forgot it.
All right, we have time for one last question. Yes.
Hi, my name is Melissa Bazzani. I'm actually a film programmer at the Smithsonian, and I'm the director of programming at the DC Asian Pacific American Film Festival. We're talking about boxes, and how many of us in here believe that the Nelson box is a dead ecosystem? I mean, the fact that it's even being quoted here, I think, is remarkable. I mean, it blows my mind. How many of us know people that have Nelson boxes in their houses? You know, I think that I don't understand why this older generation is still stuck on that box. And I'm also worried. I don't come out to the West Coast very much, but I think it's important that I do every once in a while. Last time I was out here for an APA festival, I went to the VC festival in LA, and there was a television executive saying, well, everyone was saying, like, championing, you know, our web content producers, saying how amazing they are, they're amazing writers, they're doing new and fabulous things. And some TV executive said, oh, but that is a different, we don't hire them because it's a different skill set than writing for TV. Well, I will say that I just lost my best assistant ever, who was a copywriter for a museum to a TV show. You know, writing for a comedy, not any comedy, and as a staff writer. I'm like, so where is the connect? And are we being irresponsible? Because we see people who have writing talent, we see people who have, you know, comedy talent, but that talent has not been mentored, you know? And I see these tiny, tiny mentorship programs. Like, I've had a number of people that I've worked with go through the ABC Disney program for diversity. It's interesting, but in the end, you know, there's only so much you can bring to a show where you're never going to write about your own experience. You know, so my assistant is Navajo, and she's writing for a show that has all white kids from Chicago. She happened to live in Chicago, so that helps out, and one black dude, which is now, you know, or, you know, there's one South Asian dude on like all these shows. It's like, I'm flabbergasted because another comment was that Whitney hired her friend on the show to show authenticity. Exactly what our three gentlemen here were just talking about. Like, we have authenticity and we have buy-in from our audience because they see this chemistry between us. Mm-hmm. So what is the difference? How are we saying the same thing on both sides of the argument and using what we're saying against each other?
Right.
I don't know if we're using. I don't think we're using it against each other. To answer your question, first of all, the reason why the Nielsen boxes still matter, and I don't agree with them either. I think they're very inaccurate. When I used to work in kids programming, and we were targeting teen girls ages 12 to 17, we used to make a joke that if 2 girls went to McDonald's that morning, our ratings would drop, because it was true, because it was not proportional. I say that because I think it's the standard barometer by which money is calculated. It's a business, and so there is until someone comes up.
All of us, right? It's still lying.
It's lying and it's not. I mean, it's some weird combination of they've got to find some way to aggregate these numbers. They've got to have some baseline. I don't think it's truly reflective of who's watching and who, you know. And so it's not just one number that matters anymore. It's now a collection of numbers, and what makes a show a hit transcends just those numbers. It is where it's people talking about it online. It's critics claiming it to be being a good show. So there's a lot of different factors with that. In regards to your second point about sort of authenticity and why we haven't been able to sort of support more, I mean, I think it's very. It is a closed business in many ways. I'll freely admit that I'll give you a brief example, not just because I don't want to be, I don't want to complain about sort of how far we've gone, but this gives you an indication. Obviously, one of the biggest things that happened to Asian America recently was the Jeremy Lin phenomenon. I work at a film company where one of my colleagues is a feature producer who did sort of upstart hero movies like Miracle. So I was like, hey, do you think that should we go look into buying the rights to the story? Because I think it makes for a really great movie. And he said to me, well, casting's an issue. And I'm like, I know, because no one's a star yet, because we make movies with people that we know we come. And I made sort of a joke about, like, if Ryan or one of you guys or Kev Jumba could show up on their basketball skills, maybe that's how you get that movie made someday. Because of their age. But it's a tricky balance all the time, and we still struggle. But as Steve said, what's changing is that there are more and more people in all parts of that sector. As closed as that business is, there are more and more Asian Americans that are sensitive to those things you're talking about in the business, that are trying to sort of make changes from within, and also from without, as producers also, because there's both. And I think that the internet and the sort of proliferation of Asian Americans' presence in there is only going to accelerate that change in some ways, which I think will be good. But is it there yet? I agree, it's not completely there yet. I'm sorry, I don't want to take more time.
Just how much money did you get in marketing for a show that attracts $5 million?
I think it was about 40 to 50 million.
There's your reason why the Nielsen boxes matter.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I know, but I think the funny thing is, like, we're so reliant on the internet for so much information. I think part of the onus is on the younger generation. Why haven't we come up with a better system than Nielsen?
Yeah, and I think we're starting to, right? The question is, do we want to recreate Nielsen, or do we want to create something different, and how do we do that? So,
of course.
Which can be a great talk for another session, right?